Welcome to Cax Bar and Podcast, Canada's first podcast bar. What that means is you can come here for food, you can come here for drinks, you can also come here and record a podcast. Come on down, we're located in downtown Calgary, Alberta in the Beltline area. See you soon. And we're rolling. I'm here today with Mike and Ephraim. They have their podcast called Telegentz Podcast.
Yes,
I'll put some links in below. I think you guys have more or less clips going right now, right?
Yeah.
Just on TikTok and everything like that?
Yeah, mainly on TikTok.
Yeah.
As of the moment, yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I met these lovely gentlemen from, they filmed their pod out of the Cax Farm Podcast studio. So and I get the pleasure of listening to their content. They're pretty mature guys for two young bucks. And then today, it's a podcaster
Yes, sir.
get together, I guess. And I guess the theme, like what I want to bring you guys on for was just to kind of discuss the stuff that you guys already talk about on your guys' pod. Because these two are big into self-improvement,
That's right.
like mindfulness, like personal growth, basically like doing good,
That's right.
because just, they're in their 20s, but they haven't, they're in their 20s. They have a lot of experience, but they're already at a point where they're no longer wanting to be consumed by, like the party life and things like that. So I guess I'll just dive into first and foremost, like what made you two kind of like not shy away, like decide right now you both kind of like don't want to be part of that scene anymore. Like whatever, just the scene that is, in many ways, I guess we recognize it's not good for you. You know what I mean? Like, but just, tell me a little bit about what happened there, because it's not like you guys aren't tempted to party, but you guys make conscious decisions. You guys value self-improvement over 100%. Whatever, going out and picking up chicks, I guess.
That's right. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Me personally, I've been growing up, I wasn't always into like the party scene. My parents made sure mans wasn't going out and stuff. But as I got older, I was telling Mike not long ago, it wasn't until I was like 24, 25 that I'd go out here and there. And I never touched my first drink till I was like 25. So like,
oh really?
Yeah, it was like a rum and coke, man. Like a light thing. I wasn't drunk. I've never been drunk, so that's something that never really appealed to me. But I think I saw a quote. It was like someone who doesn't understand their purpose occupies themselves with pleasure. Yeah. And that's like, this was like what, grade 11, 12, I seen that. And I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Like how powerful that quote was. But I didn't understand it at the time. But I feel like, especially now at this age, like like life gets real. You know what I mean? So it's not about, I'm going to go out, do this, that, the third, it's cool to have fun and, balance it out. But I think just that lifestyle and how it's pushed on us in this generation, this day and age is so heavy, right? And a lot of people get caught up in the matrix and start flowing with it. So, and we're both bouncers. We've been bouncers, There's nothing positive that we've seen that comes out of.
Yeah, I bounced for years too back in the day.
Oh, respect.
Yeah, totally. I know that grind, and but like I know, like, well, first, Ephraim, you're did we even introduce you to? Did I say Mike and Ephraim?
Yeah.
Okay.
You chilling. You good.
Just dove right into it. But Ephraim, like, you didn't have a drink till you're 25.
25.
Holy crap! So when you were growing up, I know you're big into sports and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay, was it just more of like, like were your parents kind of like guided you away from that for the sake of sports and things, or did you just, when you said you weren't even drawn to it, that's kind of interesting because almost everyone's drawn to it, right?
True.
Like they just see everyone having fun, and and then there's that weird feeling of FOMO, like especially,
exactly.
But maybe what you said earlier, like they're just, everyone's young, they don't know their purpose yet. Like, did you feel like you had a purpose, I guess, all like right away, and you're like, this will get in the way, or?
I don't think I had seen my purpose at the time, but I think it was more or less like just from what I had seen, people who struggle with addictions and such. And it's just funny, the stream of every job I did was like typically with vulnerable individuals, and just like hopping on, like, doing all those things that's never appealed to me. My parents were cool. Like, they weren't like, oh, you're going to die if you drink. You know what I mean? It just wasn't something that, and I like to be my own mind, like not control, but I like to know what's going on and be aware of things. So for me to like drink heavily, it wasn't like they're drinking like in a social setting at the time. it's like, let's get hammered, let's do this, forget the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone was trying to run away from something. So I just didn't want to be a part of, I'm hungover when I wake up the next day, your whole day is messed up, you're out of routine. Like for me, I always had a passion and a goal. And I guess sports kind of put me in that, that field of vision as well. So yeah.
That's unique, man. I mean, it's not supposed to be, but it is, right? Because I don't know. That's pretty commendable, man. Because so many people, when they're younger, like they don't know themselves yet. They're actually kind of nervous all the time to socialize, and then booze is what allowed them to kind of see what they're even able to do because it takes away anxiety, right? But okay, interesting. But Mike, what about you?
It's a great question, man. What
really did you when did you drink? Or did you not drink ever?
Oh, I did drink. I had my first alcohol when I was 18, right? Okay. Just like Ephraim, my parents always, hid me from the world, you know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't even go out to play in front of the yard as a kid. I have to take permission. So but having friends who were always partying at 16, 17, I just longed for it, right? Yeah. And then when I actually grew up with the mindset that alcohol was like, what's the word? Alcohol was like possessing in a way, right? If people who drank were possessed. And I didn't understand it until when my friends graduated. We wanted to go out. We went on a party bus. I still remember the first day. We're going to Commonwealth. And we got there and then everyone was drinking, right? But a couple weeks before I went, I think a year to the clubs, I didn't drink. I didn't feel like I needed to, and I was having a blast, right? But this time around, everyone was drinking, and I remember we went to the liquor store, and it was Hennessy, right? I think one of the homies bought Hennessy, and I was like, screw it, let's try it out. And ever since then, I wouldn't say I got addicted, but it became part of a lifestyle, part of my lifestyle. Whenever I wanted to party, alcohol was involved until age 23, right? So this is...
How old are both of you right now?
I'm 25 right
25,
now.
okay.
I'm 27.
27, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And this is actually, this is, age 23.
It's pretty recent then.
Yeah, pretty recent. Yeah. So till... Actually, so right after I turned 24, my bad. Yeah. Right after I turned 24, because I remember I partied on my birthday, 24th birthday. Alcohol was involved in. My brother put me on this book called Alcohol Lied to Me, right? An audiobook. I forgot the author, but while he was going through this phase, he was talking about how alcohol affects his health, and he's always been talking about it, and I didn't see the problem. I'm like, bro, we're not alcoholics, right? We drink whenever we go out here and there, and we don't drink excessively, so you're tripping, right? And then he was like, nah, bro, like, just listen to this book. So I listened to that book, and it really opened my eyes to, like, the truth about alcohol, the things that people don't talk about, right? And I remember the book referred to alcohol as a false social pleasantry, right? And well packaged poison, right? If you look at the TV, there's commercials about alcohol. It's just part of everyone's lifestyle. But after listening to that book, I was like, you know what? I don't need to feel, I don't need alcohol to really be myself, because on alcohol, I'm the life of the party. Yeah. I have this extreme confidence, like almost hubris. Like I feel like I'm on top of the world, right? And I've always had that energy while off alcohol, but it was never that amplified, right? So over time, after listening to that book, I'm like, you know what? I'm a hop off alcohol. I don't want to drink alcohol anymore. And the book also guided me about the peer pressure and how people are gonna ostracize me for standing out, and it sort of empowered me to just continue on that journey, because it's a norm, right? To drink, but in reality, it shouldn't really be, right? And I just started to seclude from that. Now it's been a year and a half, almost 2 years now of just not drinking. Don't get me wrong, I do get pressured here and there, feeling like I'm missing out on something, but not really. It's not as bad. And just like Ephraim, what really got me into the self-development as well was after 18, because when you're 18 in Alberta, you can go to the club. So I sort of got overexposed to that lifestyle. I partied like almost every weekend, man, until the point where it just got too repetitive, and I didn't really see the value in it. Right? If I kept going that route of just partying, I'll do that through my 30s. Right? When am I going to wake up? And I believe as a man, there's a point in time where you need to just focus, right, and 100%. Really wake up to reality. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Everything you said there is makes complete sense. It's not like I didn't think of that either, but there's a paradox because I'm a bar owner, right?
Yeah.
Like I literally make my living selling alcohol and food as well, and podcast rentals and merch as well. Anyway, but like I always knew, because like I've done stupid shit on booze, like who hasn't? But then I've also had amazing moments on it where I'm like, it's not right in my mind to fully throw it out either, because there's these creative moments with your friends that there's no way that moment of goofiness would not have happened without booze, right? So like, but I did notice when I was growing up, I had a great childhood, like no trauma whatsoever. Like just literally picture perfect childhood. The more I learn about other people's childhoods. So by the time I started drinking, I remember it was just because like I was a little bit shy. I was 18, and then and then I ended up like drinking, and then I was a little shy around certain people. And when I mean certain people, I mean like super hot girls or whatever, right? And then I remember once I was drinking, I was like, oh, holy crap! Like I'm not nervous anymore. I literally can say exactly what I was trying to think. And I remember because I had no trauma, the booze was actually a positive addition to my life. Yeah, like I didn't really have, all I had was fun. I've made a lot of like solid friends that I'm still with friends to like today. Like a lot of them are other business owners that we knew back in the day, like entrepreneurs, brewery owners, things like that. But I will say it was weird because simultaneously, while I was noticing how I had a decent relationship with it, and I wasn't addicted either. I could turn it on and off. But man, I noticed like there was two types of people enjoying it like the way I was enjoying it. It's like an amplifier. It's a celebration tool, right? It's a celebration tool. But in the other people, it was a medication. And that's when I was noticing like, oh, wow, this guy, he needs this. And then that's when, I started feeling like if I ever get to a point in my life where I'm in that position, then you shouldn't have alcohol. Like it like the way I look at it, it has to be a celebration tool. But right now I get what you're saying. If you're observing, like, would you say most people you guys grew up with watching drink, like your peers, was it a celebration tool or a medication tool?
I'd say both.
It was 50-50? Half your friends were like cool, the other half were like struggling, they just needed it?
Yeah, like, and I'll say a lot of them were just oblivious to it as well. Like I could see that, like this is a medication for you, because there's this one friend of mine who would always, he's known as that guy with it's just a funny moment every single time. It's just always jokes, because there's no party or there's no celebration that he doesn't have alcohol. We just know, like, he has that smile on his face, right? And
he's probably drunk when he has that smile on his face.
Yep.
Hey, let's get drunk. He's not ready.
And I noticed that, hey man, like I always talk to him about like, bro, like, are you good? Like, and he's like, nah, bro, like it's just not fun without it, right? So I would say it's 50-50 for me, because I see it being used as a celebration tool and also medication.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I meant more of the, like, your groups of friends. Would you say it was half and half? Like you saw half of them?
Most definitely.
Okay.
It was half and half.
So that means half of them have trauma then, or something?
Most definitely. Yeah.
Like what were you, Ephraim?
Yeah, I think a majority of them was probably medication.
Yeah.
In one way or the other. I think if it's used in a celebratory fashion, then you're able to control how you use it.
Yeah.
And I think like the term substance abuse, everyone thinks about like hard drugs and such. But if you think about it from like the lens of alcohol, a lot of folks that I knew, they were using it to either as a last to control something or to manage something. So most of the time, a lot of my homies, like a lot of them, they didn't, really sip like that. So And I feel like birds of a feather flock together, you know. So you're gonna be with people who, you know. But the thing about me, my discipline was so high. Like you can put whatever in front of me, and I wouldn't touch it, unless I wanted to, you know, at a club, whatever it was, you know. So, but I think from what I've seen, I think it's unfortunate a lot of people use it, you know, to suppress something. So,
I think that says something about like society, right? Because again, when I would say right up to even 25, I had a good, like, you know, like God was good to me, man. Like I really didn't struggle. Like my only challenges were the goals I laid out, and I had fun every time I got drunk. And it was like, for the most part, man, I'm sure there was the off night, but it was balanced out with so much more good times. But then I noticed really, like, 25 and up, just because you're living more life, and then people have more problems. And then a lot of people, you start to realize like they're in pain all the time. Like their default emotion is actually like they're in pain. Like it could be because as you keep living, there's just so much obstacles in the way. Like as in maybe their ego starts to get like to a point where they can't even recognize it anymore. So they don't realize everything's operating from ego. So then they start doing things like comparing themselves, like really getting messed up when they get dumped or something. Not, you know, like pushing hard for a goal, getting it, and realizing, hey, like, is this all there is? You know, like a lot of my friends who finished school and then they went to their jobs, but then their jobs end up just not meeting their heart, and you know, at that point anyway. And and like I do agree. Like it's sad because that means most people are miserable. You know what I mean? So like right now, but you guys have taken notice of that already, and decided like, well, I'm just going to hang out with people who aren't miserable.
That's right.
And then naturally there's no booze in that kind of realm. In a weird way, right? Am I kind of on track?
No, I could attest to it, man. Even like Ephraim said, birds of a feather flock together. But you know, the same thing as the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with, right? And we traveled actually to Jamaica last year. Me, him, and our other boy Charlie. He doesn't drink, right? And we had a blast. We didn't need alcohol to amplify the moment, right? It was so much fun. And another thing too is coming from someone who's drank, you know, to a point where it was part of my lifestyle. I would say I was more present and I was able to absorb everything that happened. I was able to be more in the moment, because compared to when you're drinking, most of the time you don't even remember those moments, right?
I'm counter to that. When I drink, I'm in the moment.
Oh,
my brain cannot process future and past. Like I'm present as fuck. It's when I'm not drinking actually that I have to consciously control my mind, because my mind will think about it will look too far ahead and it will dwell on backwards unless I control it. You know, so that's interesting. So your default mind is in the present, and alcohol makes you not in the present.
Like, but here's the thing. Let me phrase it this way. I'm in the present when I'm drunk. Don't get me wrong. I've had so many great moments, right? Unforgettable moments while I was drunk, but I wasn't able to really remember everything that happened. And drink more. But that's it. The more I drank,
once your tolerance hits a certain point, you actually remember.
Once I get too drunk, I just can't remember. I just remember glimpses of it, like fragments of it, but I'm not able to feel and absorb that moment as if I was sober, right?
Man, this is interesting, because that just means I actually never heard someone say what you said, because everyone I know, when they drink, that they're in the moment. That's why they do dumb stuff. Like, you know, because like, you know, like if you weren't in the moment, it's because you can think about the future. Say you're sleeping around, right? And you're like, it's a bad idea to hook up with this girl. Bad day for her to hook up with me. But then once you're drunk, it's because you can't think into the future. Now you're in the present, and then you end up hooking up. But if you were sober, that's when your brain's thinking in the future, like, what if I knock her up? Like, what if she has an STD? You know, like, then thinks in the past too at the same time, like, oh man, like, is this the quality person for me from whatever, my ex or whatever? Like, so that's just something so it's very interesting. So it's almost like your neurochemistry is even different to the way you react to it, which means that, of course, when you guys observe it, I take it same for, well, I never heard you explain your experience with drinking yet, but if it's like Mike, then that means like this thing is just not for you, top down. You know what I mean? Like, just like some people, they get a completely different effect when they smoke weed, right? Like, and like, because when I smoke weed versus someone else, like it's a completely different experience. Like what, like they talk about what they see and do and everything. And I'm like, I just want to eat, sleep, and giggle around. And then, and I don't know. So I think there's something neurochemical, like
possibly,
it, you know,
possibly.
I don't know. But E, what about you? Like, when you drank, are you more present without booze or with booze? Or, I mean,
oh yes, like I've never been to that point where I'm like
you never been drunk.
Yeah. In terms of, I just like the taste of like one kind of I'll drink or whatever. But I think in terms of being present, in the moment, I think if I'm not on taking a substance or drinking, then I can be in the moment. Even if I've been tipsy, it's like I'm still like fully aware of like what's going on. I can make decisions. Obviously, I wouldn't hop in a whip or something, but like my executive functioning is still like intact. I think like what you mentioned about neurochemistry and such, alcohol in terms of like physiological changes or responses can affect everyone the same. You know, become slower, lethargic, you know, you like that will happen to everyone across the board in terms of from that standpoint. But I think when it comes to the emotions and what you mentioned about trauma, that's when there's a big shift because everyone's neurochemistry in that capacity is different. So then the way they respond in that moment will be different from someone else, you know? Yeah. Like you mentioned about not having trauma growing up. Alcohol makes you, you know, it makes you chill out, you know, it's a depressant. It will make you like become who you really are. So I got a bunch of trauma built up, packed up. I don't talk about it. No one knows what I'm going through, what I've been through. But now I'm on some alcohol. It's like a key, you know, I'm opening a door of demons, for lack of a better term, you know. Everything that I've thought about, been through, the pain will come out and it will it'll present itself in whatever manner. So
I find it's more childhood trauma that I'm talking about. Like it's 0 to 10, I would say, or 0 to 15. Whatever happened in that point,
100%.
That is that default emotion that the booze will either have a bad effect for you or a good effect, or because it's not like I've had challenges since. But I would say it was 25 when I first had my first, like,
for sure,
like what I would deem trauma worthy, you know. And but it's interesting. But I was a full-blown adult at that point, and every other avenue of my life was matured up. So that's why I was like, interesting. Like there's so many variables now to seeing, not just with booze, just in general. Like like people, like let's call it people's vices. Because you might have someone who doesn't drink, like Donald Trump's apparently never had a drop of booze in his life, right? But you know, his vice is power, and you can literally see it, like it's been ingrained in him. So he cannot not chase power and adulation. Like, so I don't know. I think it's an infinitely more complicated matter. I mean, I'm not just saying this because I own a bar and now I got two guys who don't drink.
No, you're good.
You know what I mean? But I'm always fascinated when I like hear you guys do your pod as I'm producing, because I'm like, like these guys are either like old souls or just something's different, you know, because it's just, I just don't see it often, you know, like, but then again, I'm in a different realm, right? Like I'm in the industry, right?
No, piggyback off what you said about trauma. So let's say, 0 to 10.
I would say even 15, like puberty, like puberty-ish, right? You know, like.
So we take that in terms of before you go to preschool, whatever, before you start school. I think everyone's perspective, when we think about trauma, we might think about, you know, abuse, you know, very
evil shit.
Exactly.
Like feeling like someone hurt you.
Exactly.
It could be literally trauma. It could be like you were a kid and you got abused physically.
Exactly.
You're a kid, you got abused sexually, which is the craziest one. Like I don't even want to get into that.
100%.
It could be verbal. It could be bullying. It 100%. Could be racism. It could be trauma of like just chaos around you.
Exactly.
You know, but either way, it's hurt. Extreme hurt as a kid, because like why I say 0 to 15 is because you can't defend yourself.
Exactly.
Right? Like it's like you're basically going to take it.
Exactly.
And then you feel like you let yourself down.
Exactly.
And then you don't trust yourself. That's basically it. And then that relationship with yourself is already off to a rocky start.
Exactly.
You're like, well, if I can't count on myself to protect myself, then I must be a loser.
Exactly.
Like, and that's very sad, but it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that from what I've seen, the baseline of everyone's, the way they act when they're drinking, the confidence, right? The liquid confidence, like, and typically it comes from some kind of rejection growing up. So whether they were bullied or didn't fit in, because the one thing every human wants at the base is to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So growing up, you're in school, you know what I'm saying? You want to be part of a group, whether it's the soccer kids, football kids, art, band. Growing up is so crucial for you to be a part of something, right? As a kid, going to school. Oh, mom, I met a friend. My friends are doing this. I can hang out. I'm eating lunch with this person, that person. Once that rejection is the initial like offense for like a child, I think from what I've seen, more often than not, especially in working in psych, it creates such a big rift, right? So then they hop on substances, alcohol, whatever the case may be. Most people I've seen when they're on alcohol, they get confident, right?
Because they're not in pain.
They're not in pain
in that moment. This is how they actually would act if they're not in pain. Which is, they've been arrested,
like as a child. Like let's say maybe 14, 15 that happened, and now they're 23. Whatever person they were at 15, they're still arrested. They weren't able to grow up and become out of that person, and learn social skills. I can talk to Mike without being without drinking. I can talk to Shawn without, you know what I mean? So I think it's so important. Like trauma is you're right. It's so intricate. It's so, detailed to like get to the nitty gritty of it. But alcohol, I think it's easily accessible. You feel good when you're on it. But you don't think about the repercussions afterwards. Like, oh shoot, like now I'm more depressed. Now I'm more down.
Yeah. It's, well, like I'm joking, but whatever, like tongue in cheek, but you just the more you drink, the more tolerance you get, then you actually control, because like you're not just so inebriated now. Like I could probably dust, and no joke, I could probably put away like 10 beers and still remember the night and kind of like only and control the good parts, but like, well, I'm exaggerating now. Maybe it's not 10 now. Was 10, but now it might be like 6 or 7, and then I start to get a bit sloppy or whatever, like because like there's a lot of connoisseurs out there. They love wine, right?
Yep.
They're not fucking belligerent, I really do think it's case by case, situation by situation,
100%.
mindset state versus mindset state, what's going on in your world, like and it's a never ending game, man. Like you could be on top of your game, and then you could be the guy who's like everything's on track and you're the wisest dude, but then something happens that just rocks your foundation.
100%.
Like I don't know, as an example here, like Roy Jones Jr., for instance, right? You heard his son, oh God, what's his son's name? Is that his eldest son? I think Deshawn, or I forget. Sorry, Roy Jones. He just committed suicide, man. Yeah, like and like it's like Roy Jones is a man of God, and I don't think he drinks or anything like that. I'm not sure, but maybe something like that would be the one thing that he's like, whoa, like so then if he has booze at that time, like all bets are off, because that was the one thing. I don't know, like it's a very intricate, it's moment by moment. You're never safe. I just know that like handling yourself is a forever thing.
Exactly.
You can never like let your guard down from yourself. That was a bit of a rant, but I think that made some sense.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
No, were you about to chime in, Mike? Or
no, I was just agreeing. I agree with what he said, man. Like with the trauma thing, right? Growing up, I got bullied. Everyone got bullied, so I'm not saying that to gain some like empathy or anything like that, but growing up, man, it was pretty tough, man. You feel me? There are things I wanted to do. Girls, for instance, I wanted to approach girls. Not that I didn't, but there wasn't enough confidence on a consistent basis to do that, right? And alcohol showed me a version of myself that was just dormant. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, man, my first drink, I thought I was Usher, man. I love to dance, right? Yeah. And on alcohol, I thought I was on like Just Dance 2 type, like, bro, I'm just living it up. There was a way I could express myself, express my emotions, right? Without really worrying about criticism, without worrying about what others think about me in the moment. And in a way, I was able to connect with people that way because they appreciated that, right? And even talk to whoever. Like Beyonce could walk in right now and I'm talking to her, and it has its.
I think she's single, dude.
Really?
Yeah,
ain't no way.
Sure,
ain't no way. I think Jay-Z still got it on lock, right? But there are great parts to it, and I believe in moderation. As long as you're able to control it and not, be too excessive with it, then yeah. But where I'm going with this is, it's also I see alcohol as a tool, right? Yeah. If you're able to see different versions of yourself while you're on it, why not try to cultivate that while you're off of it, 100%. Right? Because people use it as a mask, and that's one thing I've noticed. I use it as a mask, right? I used it as a way to just express myself in ways I wouldn't while I was sober, right? Yeah. We're going to the party where I knew there were going to be the hottest chicks in the city. A liquor was a must because I had to be the best version of myself. And that's what I mean about, like, like you said, actually, the vices, right? It could be a problem if you're relying on alcohol. Because like you said earlier, people use it as a medication, right?
I think a lot of people are relying right now. Right. The world right now is pretty fucked up. Like
most definitely,
something's not right. I think we can all feel it.
Yeah.
Every day, every morning you wake up, you can have all the food, shelter, clothing you need. Like your needs are met, but you're still like, something's off. Like the instant you leave the door, you're like, something's off. As you're driving, you're like, everything's off. You're doing your job, you're like, something's off. Like it just doesn't feel right. Like there's obviously a global anxiety happening. There's obviously some kind of global nefariousness going on. Like it's I feel like we're in the episode like of Star Wars or some shit. And like the Emperor's behind. He's like up to like he's about to take over the Senate basically and unleash hell. Because like, I mean, my spidey senses are just going off like crazy every day, right? So I don't know, and I feel bad because now is probably not the time for people to indulge in booze. Then, if there's this kind of feeling, yet at the same time, I own a bar, so it's like a bit of a paradox that I have.
Yeah, like owning a bar, like I respect what you do. It's a business, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't seem like you're the type to drink to inflict like violence or tyranny or malevolence, whatever.
I've been having some bar fights before, but that wasn't like but my intent is never evil. I can say that, like, I've never tried to do something evil, like premeditated ever. So so I mean, if there's ever been a crazy night with me, it still wasn't out of evil intent. Like someone popped off. And the booze caused me to be like this is in many ways going to be fun. Because I did grow up doing martial arts, so I was like, combat sports is wicked. Like, what better excuse to manually put yourself in that situation
Now, fights do be going crazy while you're on that liquor. You see, great moments while I was on the liquor. I also have some terrible moments, right? One thing I did notice about myself was there were points where I did drink like maladaptively, but I'll say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, I have the best of intentions, right? My emotions, I was just feeling good. But here's the thing though, just the slightest thing kills my vibe, right? And that's when the dark side comes out. That's where that trauma, right? That's where whatever I'm going through before I sipped starts to manifest, right? And now I'm in a serious fight. And now I'm more mad at myself, right? And I'm wallowing in that, depression because I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to get away from it, but it ended up catching up to me. So I do agree with like alcohol being taken, moderately. But if you like going back to when I talked about it being a mask, right? So many moments. I almost got frostbite, right? I actually did get frostbite, 2nd degree. So I've had a lot of like bad moments on the liquor, and it's been a way to like reflect on myself as well. Like I've also had a lot of time to reflect, and the versions of myself that seem to be that affable, that just magnetic, I had that, but I want to learn how to cultivate that while I'm off of it. And it's a journey. Don't get me wrong. It hasn't been easy, It hasn't been easy. And don't get me, also, another thing I wanted to mention out there is that we're all flawed. I'm not saying that I'm better than everyone who's drinking currently. I believe in drink. If you're drinking in moderation, that's cool.
Yeah.
But where I'm getting out with this is I want to be that Mike that
you want to be your best self.
Yeah, I want to be my best self without the alcohol.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you. I that's literally how I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do gotta apologize to the audience here because the people who know me, I'm like, my memory's coming back now. No, I've had some horrible times on booze too, where I was like, I should never drink again.
Yeah.
That was insane. Like, what was I thinking? Why did I say that to that person? I didn't even really mean that.
Yeah.
Like literally a state of psychosis. Like, I'm like, who was that night? You know, it was not me. And like, I've had those moments too. But I would say like almost all of those moments, majority for some reason for me came after 25. Because I first started drinking when I was 18. Anyway, like it was that 7-year period. Like it was all 90% of it was great.
Yeah.
And then, but then as I got older, I remember like, it's just because I'm like, life gets hard. And then I was like, man, now I know what those kids who were like 16 drinking, they're going through what I'm going through now, but back then because their default emotion was pain. So, I mean, yeah, I just want to, reiterate, like, I'm not, like we're flawed. And
we're all flawed.
You triggered a response from me when you said that because I want to like I'm not trying to say I got this thing perfect. But I'm very cognizant now of it. Like I'm super cognizant of it. Like
that's right.
But I have had wild times too where I just let it go, but they were good. Like they were, like they were out of good intention or whatever. Like this one time I had my shirt off in a bar and it was WrestleMania. It was when Stone Cold Steve Austin came out of fucking 20-year hiatus.
Yeah.
And I remember I was just so pumped about it. It was in the and then my fiance who was bartending at the time, like she had to kick me out of the bar because like I literally was grabbing a chair and like, like it was a whole thing. But at first I felt weird about it, but someone like filmed a little bit of it. And like, I remember everyone was just laughing and just having a great time, but I wasn't going to smash a chair on anyone, I was just, but I remember thinking back, I was like, that story still gets brought up amongst friends of how goofy that was and just how like comedically, like, that's something when you're old and you look back, you're going to like chuckle, like, so I don't regret that. Those kind of moments, I guess,
Yeah, I agree with that. I could lack. Another thing I wanted to say too is I'm going on this journey. I'm not saying in the next 2-3 years I'm not gonna make a mistake. Not even to see it as a mistake. I'm not gonna succumb to alcohol, right? I'm like I said, I'm going on this journey. After I read that book, I was just like, man, I want to explore this version of myself, and things just came to light, man. I was like, what? This is how people is like, and another thing too is clarity. I've noticed like being in situations where I don't need I usually would be drunk, right? And being there without alcohol, I just have the clarity, man. Like I don't have to keep buying the drinks just to go talk to that girl. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to kill time. I'm not wasting money, right? I'm able to see through what's going on and decide in that moment, okay, it's time to go home. Right? I can wake up the next day, I'm not hungover and I'm on the go, right? And it's also like, I feel like I'm being watched as well because now my homies, like the ones who drink, they know that I don't drink. So it's like, I feel like they're waiting for that moment. I'm going to just give in.
That's terrible.
That means
just, they're not really your homies.
Yeah. They're not supporting that journey because me being around them in these moments where they're drinking and I'm not, I guess that's the thing with being sober. I won't say they're envious, but they just don't like that as well. Like, does he think he's better than me? You know what I'm saying? Like, right? Because I'm doing this for myself, and they know that I could see through everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to put it out there that like in a year, I don't know. I'm capable. I'm flawed. Right. But as of right now, life has been blissful. Mm-hmm. I have that serenity. I don't need to go out of my way. And I'm just comfortable in my own skin right now without any sort of liquor or weed or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, man, like all the power to you. I've had friends that don't drink anymore. Like I don't sit there and if they ever come by, I'm like, well, have food or a non-alc or whatever. We have options like that.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think is like right now? This might be too crazy of a question, actually. But you guys are like, what do you guys think is actually happening, like with the world? Like, are you guys spiritual? Do you, like, like, okay, let's define that here. Like, do you guys believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, are you guys Christian, or you guys
Christian?
You guys both Christian? Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys believe in well, just straight up like Jesus is God that came down in human form,
right?
Okay. So right now is the devil just fucking on overdrive right now and trying to sabotage the world? Because like it seems like everything's ass backwards, you know, like it's not like we use social media, we all do in this room, but that thing is pretty fucking evil, you know, like half the time I have to be very cognizant of what I follow and what I don't follow. Like I like the smart ones that are like ones that break down history or they make it real digestible and keep your attention going. I like sports ones, but there's a lot of it's just over the top sometimes. Like the flashiness, the ego flashiness, 100%. Like the amount of women just like, don't get me wrong, like we're men and we're flawed, you know, like but it's overdone now, the sexualization, where it's like even when I was single I would have been like, oh hey, this is pretty awesome, but even now I'm like, something's not right about how far it's gone. Yeah. How far it's gone. It's not I don't know. It's just, there's such a thing as too much, you know?
100%.
But what do you guys think? Like, what are your instincts telling you, you know, like, what do you guys think?
I'm not going to lie, man. I think the world is definitely in turmoil. And I think, in our own pockets, like if you're on social media, I think it's a small glimpse what's going on. What you mentioned about like even the sexualization of like women on the internet and stuff, it's crazy. Like what you'll see on Instagram if you're on it. Like you're right. You look at it and you're kind of confused. Like, whoa, like what are you doing all this for? You know? And I think, just to continue on that path about men and all that. I was watching a video.
Oh, sorry, keep going.
And seemed like if you can get a man, if he has no sexual control, then you can destroy society, basically, if men have no control in that regard. And I think if you look at the way the world's going on right now, like the way it's like, you know, shifting is kind of, you know, you can kind of see where it's going to end up.
Yeah. I don't want to make this right wing, left wing argument, right? Because I have a lot of left wing family and friends. And then me, I would say, you know, like, I had to put a stamp on myself. Maybe I'm right of center slightly, but with some left qualities here and there. But right now, it's like, as an example, you got like OnlyFans. Like there's a lot of women that are actually treating that like a business. Yeah, and they're making money and they're actually bringing out their inner potential. Like forget the actual acts they do, like which is like the main recipe, but like what they do afterwards with that money. It's like or whatever. Like they actually like they're hustling. And like a side of me is like, like, is this entirely bad as well? Do you know what I mean? Like it's a tricky one, right? You know, but
here's the personally, look, like I hustle for my money, you feel me? So respectfully, like I'm not the kind of man who's gonna subscribe to see, you know, and not to be facetious or anything.
Oh, sorry, like I've never subscribed to OnlyFans. Oh, no, I'm here talking about, no, I swear to God, like, I'm heavily engaged, you know, it's like but I'm just thinking like, because there's something that whatever, it's just bringing out the entrepreneur in a lot of women, you know what I mean? In some weird way, I'm like, hey, well,
like, not to be facetious, but I don't know. Look, some girls, I don't know how to say it, but I've had girls hit me up who have OnlyFans talking about we can make a lot of money and stuff. and so for me, like,
that's for you to join them? Like, for you to do porn, basically?
Do soft stuff, you know what I mean? Talking about 70-30, 60-40 split. Yeah. And I'm not a man of that morale, you know what I'm saying? I'm a, you know, respect. Even if I wasn't like that, you feel me? I don't know if I would, you know, but I was looking at them like, damn, like, this is literally where the world has gone. Like I can, let's say I wanted to stop working or whatever, like what you said about being entrepreneurs and such, and like, just like, you know, talking about no face, no case, you ain't gotta see, like, I'm just there like, whoa, it's kind of scary from like, when we grew up, you feel me?
It's
so now, you know,
highly unnatural. I mean,
I agree.
Like, think of it this way. Even as far as documented history, we know of, I think it's only maybe, 5,000 years is total documented history as far as, you know, what we know of, like before before Christ. I think like you go back to ancient Egypt, Sumerian. I think but within that 5,000 years, as far as we know, there wasn't things like computers and phones and stuff. Like maybe before that, maybe there was an advanced civilization. We don't know. But think about it. If you were a king back then, you would have had to conquer so many territories, kill so many people, go through so much of that roller coaster. You were a different human being back then, just to be able to like see 1,000 naked women. And then if you're hungry for salmon and steak, do you know how much had to go down? Some guy had to fish all day, get that salmon, salt it, keep it ready, bring it up of wherever the fuck you live. Someone had to kill a cow, like cook it over a rock, bring it up, but now a kid who's literally like 11 has more pleasures than any great king in history, like running water, unlimited porn into their pockets, the best food ever that tastes the best delivered to you. So right now everything's just highly unnatural to where we were. So it's just, it's just wacky. And the fact that we're discovering that we have it in us, like imagine before you knew all this stuff like that we know of today. If you were in ancient times, like 200-300 years ago, say us three having a conversation, would we be like, man, I like for sure I would not be sitting there whacking off to some girl showing me her feet and paying for it all, over photos. Like I'm too good for that. And then now you find it's a $1 billion fucking industry. So everyone who says that they don't do it, which I actually don't. But I'm just saying, like they're probably secretly doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that, man. We're in the end times, bro. We're in the end times.
Straight up.
To answer your question about like where do we see society at right now? We're just in the end times. I can't quote the Bible with verbatim right now, but in the book of Revelation, it just talks about how just all the vices and turmoil and just we're just in the end times, just
what does that mean? Like as in we're about to the world, like society's going to collapse, have to restart again over some major war or conflict, or
like Jesus is coming, man. Rapture, rapture, like Jesus is coming. And what that means is if you don't stand for something, you're gonna fall for anything, right? People who believe in God, and I'm not trying to polarize people's beliefs and separate anything right now, but what that means is Jesus is coming, and it's either you're gonna stay on earth while the devil comes to conquer, or you go to heaven. And I'm not really trying to get too religious because I'm not.
Sorry if you do. I know a lot. I know a bunch of religious people. And I do believe in God. But one entity. I naturally have, and just even experiences with like psychedelics and stuff. Where I'm like, oh yeah, Anyway, but okay. But right now is this supposed to be happening or something? Like if they even wrote a book about it, they predicted it. Then this is just a par course. It's supposed to be going down.
I'm gonna have to come better prepared so I don't start talking some rubbish, right? But let's go back to Earth, right? Let's come back to where we're at. And like I said, we're in the end times. Things are in complete disarray. 100%. But one thing I do believe is needed more than ever right now is structure, right? Like I said earlier, if you don't stand for something, you're gonna fall for anything. Like you don't have to believe in God, but just find something to believe in, because so much is going on. We're just inundated with so many things, man. Instant gratification, right? Like you said earlier about 300 years ago, men would have to kill to even gratify themselves the way. I think I seen this post a while back, like 3 years ago. Like I think a 4-year-old has he has access to more women than the richest king, King Musa or something, right?
Oh yeah.
Ever did, right? And
like visually anyway.
But it's scary, man. It's scary, and just being grounded and being aware. And that's why I'm so happy at this point in my life. I'm not really caught up on distractions and trying to turn up and being under the influence of something, because that just keeps you, hidden, right, from what's really going on. And God forbid you indulge in that for too long, it's going to be too late to catch up. So now more than ever, I think people just need to find something to believe in and just stick to that. Try to improve, because as much as we have access to so much information, we're easily exposed to negative things, the pandemic of pornography and all that. We also have the tools to hone our beliefs, right? And find informations that anyone couldn't find like 20, 30, 40 years ago. So why not also use these tools to amplify our knowledge, enrich our well-being, and just stay grounded in who we are, right? So that's just how I see it, man. It's a scary world we live in right now, but it's also we're also going through some unprecedented, like,
it's no, it's very beautifully put. A great great monologue there. And right now, what's fascinating to me is that it's our minds that are in some weird state, because like there's every now and then there's moments where I kick back and I'm just like, hey, I'm super happy all of a sudden, because I just realized I have food, shelter, clothing. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're in the worst situation, financially or whatever, you can still kind of get food, shelter, clothing. Like, someone can, like, put it on their credit card or this or that. You don't have to physically, like, it's up here. It's like,
right.
Our perceptions of life is so tainted right now. Most people, because think about our ancestors. Like, they're actually hungry all the time.
Yep,
that's a real life tangible problem. But because they're so hungry, they probably don't have literally any time to be depressed, right? Like, because they have to go hunt. And it takes up your whole day, and you have to, and so you don't have time to think too far in the future or past. So I don't know right now. And with the onset of AI coming, like, people are gonna have even less purpose. So like, what's gonna happen then? I think I heard somewhere that AI might eradicate, like, it's such a broad thing to say, but I mean, like, everything you think of could be AI. Like you don't need a podcast producer anymore. AI. You don't need a videographer. AI. You don't need an accountant. An AI. It can, it's like then what is our purpose then?
I'm excited about the advent of AI, and I'm excited because it's really gonna I'm not scared, man, because why live in fear, right? I think there's gonna be a huge, job loss, and there's gonna be a huge separation in society. Where I'm going with this is, I'm excited to really be put to the test, right? To really learn who I truly am, because my purpose lies beyond AI. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean by that when you say find out who you truly are?
Hey, look, I just want to find out. no, AI, dog.
No, I'm not trying to like use AI to like find out who I truly am.
What do you mean by that? Like, I find that very fascinating. Someone says that, because, like, I study a lot of spirituality stuff all the time, and I have moments of tapping into like holy fuck, like, we are God, actually, like, our consciousness, like, we are the one entity that's everything, and like, if you can just kind of relax enough, and none of this really matters, but what did you mean by that? Who you are, like
that's a great question, man. What I meant by that is, there's just so much going on right now that it's hard to find purpose. It's hard to find what your gifts are. It's hard to find what makes you stand out as a human being, because you see someone who has all these extreme qualities, but when your back is pushed against the wall, I believe that's when you really discover who you truly are. So with the advent of AI and technology taking over, I believe that so much just going to be wiped out, clean slate, that I would actually have to dig down and discover who I truly am. I don't know if that answers your question, but
there's no right or wrong way to answer that.
I just, because I'm on that. I really want to find out what my gifts are. I think I have an idea of what my gifts are, but going back to the scriptures about your gifts, there's a saying in Proverbs 17, something about your gifts will make room for you and put you amongst great men, right? I really want to discover what my gifts are. And I believe that no matter what the world goes through, no matter what revolution happens, right now, if anything, that will possibly push me to discovering who I truly am rather than just being lost in, society.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. You got anything to add to that, Ephraim?
Well, I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. I think, everyone's unique, I think that's something that we need to, like, doesn't matter where you're from, like, everyone is created in a unique fashion. So,
but sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, but if AI, say your gift is your master, whatever, like, create, oh man, what's that word called? Like really good at making things out of wood.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like
a craftsman or something.
Like
creator.
Like it's like you're really good at crafting this table and like. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden you got these robots that just do it 10 times better than you.
Yeah.
No matter how, and like you're like, oh, like what am I here for now? Like other than just to do the act.
Yeah.
Just to do it for the sake of doing it. Cause maybe that's it. I don't know. Like, cause is it, but everything I do ultimately is because like in some weird way it ties into, I think it creates value for human beings.
Exactly.
Like I create a podcast studio to have people do this creates some value, because where else do people talk like this and have the patience to listen to each other, not trying to one up each other or like talk over each other, like like so I feel like I created something here. But what if someone's tangible skills, like they make wood and now that skill is obsolete, or someone's skill is maybe they just discovered, I just have a knack for being able to focus on driving a truck. Now you don't need a truck driver. It's like where do these people do we become actually just obsolete, period?
I think looking at society, AI couldn't have just popped up out of nowhere.
That's right.
It had to be progressive. And I think the dissipation of like human connection was the pinnacle of like the destruction of like human interaction or civilization, for lack of a better term, because if you think about it, 10, 15 years ago, they just popped up with AI and said, oh, a robot can do this. People would be kind of like, but over time, they've slowly broken us up. You know what I'm saying? What's that the phrase they always use? Divide and conquer. Now we can't really talk to people on a, real level anymore. So with all those things we're starting to slowly drift away. It's easy to bring AI in and then, boom. Yeah. Like even at work sometimes I'll talk to a patient and they'll be like, you're the only person that smiled to me today, at me today, or I'm so happy to hear your voice, or, thank you for saying that to me. I feel like I'm going to get better, I know nursing is kind of its own niche, but someone's gift, irrespective of what it is, most of the time, if you really think about someone you've met or something they've done for you, it's the person behind it is what gave the value and what they did. Like you can go to a restaurant, someone can just toss you food on the table, right? You go home, whatever. But if the waiter or waitress was a person who like, they said something to you or like gave you some kind of push, motivation, you felt the love they showed you, then you're like, oh, like this person, like that's what you were called to do. You know what I'm saying? That's something that's for you. So I think AI, we're at the point where there's no better time, to be honest. Yeah. Whatever them cats are up to, if I was doing that, like this would be the time that I would bring it in too. Like, you need a 3D printer, car factory, whatever it is. This would be the time I would bring it into, to be honest.
Would you say it's almost like human beings will just evolve to look at the world differently? Like maybe you don't need purpose anymore. You exist just to coexist with the AI.
Exactly.
And just to ultimately do some form of creativity with the AI. I mean, or just do good or just be and no longer have expectations.
Yeah. So I think AI is a huge stretch, even if you think about it. I like studying history and such. And J.D. Rockefeller said they want to create a society, a world of just workers, and not big thinkers.
Yeah.
Not verbatim, but so if you're at a job and something happens to you today, they got the next person coming in. If this happens to you, done. You're going to job. Oh, you got 3 months probation before you get your benefits. It's all super like, you know, and the people who don't fit into that are the ones who, you know, people look at them weird and stuff like, oh, you don't got a 9 to 5 or this or that. You know what I mean? They know something bigger. They have something bigger to give to the world. And that's why I love Get Rich or Die Trying by 50 Cent. Every time I watch that movie, like I feel like I can do whatever, you know, because 50 Cent in that movie, like a depiction of his real life, he was hustling every day. He knew he had a skill. He could rap. He had bars to put down. He had a message to give to the world. You know, so every time I watch that movie, I'm like, yo, like, you feel like that, you feel me? Like, you feel like you can tap into your thing and, you know, get your thing popping as well, you know?
Yeah. I love that movie too because of the not quitting.
The not quitting.
Because every avenue he went, all signs pointed to it's over.
Exactly.
Like, you're done. You're not going to make it. And then with just simple belief and like emotionally, like believing it, like with no doubt, other opportunities cosmically showed up through God and everything like that, you know? And like that, I think that's the trick. I think that's it. Just not quitting. Like just like as insane as it looks, it's like just know like life is 3D. You know? But yeah, I don't know. It's like, yeah, boy, sorry, I'm gonna start winding this thing down here.
No, that's calm. That's calm. I wanted to add something real quick. Like, moreover, I think AI, it's gonna take a lot of jobs. Of course, it's also gonna create a bunch of jobs, right?
Sorry to interject real quick before I forget. Stephen Hawking's, man, before he passed away, he said that humans should not tamper with AI. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like the jobs is there. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, even like I'm a big Star Trek nerd. I don't know if you guys are, and like in Star Trek they, you know, like they strongly, like in the latest Captain Picard series, they had to outlaw AI because of just in the end because of philosophies of AI, like because it is a new being that's probably better than us, but do we know is it actually sentient, as in like is there soul, like, you know, like is it real, like how does it know it doesn't even exist, you know, like and then that thing is like, why are we, and then when it gets evil and actually goes on killing sprees because it doesn't have that same, you know, like, and I think at the end of the day, all these science fiction movies, like, they were onto something. The fact that these writers thought it is because we all pictured, like,
most definitely,
that's probably what, because at the end of the day, AI is just humans in a robot form.
Exactly.
So it's like all the bad shit that humans do, the robot will probably do, except with even more sociopathic, because there's like no emotion behind it. So like, I don't know, but sorry,
no, y'all chilling. Like, it's big facts. What you said completely, I agree with it, and also what you said to not tamper with AI.
Steve Hawks, man.
I think it's inevitable, man. It's very imminent, 100%. Right? It's just all about integrating, like, as a business owner, as a police officer, whatever occupation you're in, can you integrate this this forthcoming of AI? Are you capable of doing that? What skills do you have? You know, what skills do you have to like adapt to this situation, right?
Probably for a lot of people that don't have skills.
That's what I'm saying, man. So
like
this is a big wake up call. This is a big wake up call. Like, try to find out what your skills are. Try to improve your, I don't know, man, your intuitive skills. Whatever way you can improve yourself, rather than just being in that delusion of, you know.
Yeah, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I just my common sense is there's so many 50-year-olds out there that they already took a lifetime to get those skills.
Yeah.
Now they're useless. The skills are useless, and they're like, I'm 50 years old. Like, as in, like, it, like, I don't think as fast. I don't learn as quick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not as healthy. Like, it's like, wow, like, maybe this is just down from here, and it sucks. So all they can do is adjust their view of life and let go. But that's sad too, because it's like humans supposed to live to 120 healthily, and like, so, you know, like now you just, you know, I don't know.
I see it as a tool, man. There's going to be restrictions, of course. Like, the Govy, you know, there's definitely going to be restrictions because folks are already wilding out here, right? Yeah. So while these restrictions eventually become enforced, right? It's just about, because it's a tool. Whatever you tell it, right? Now, how can you make yourself or enrich yourself to be able to use this tool, you know, to integrate it to whatever skill you want to cultivate, right? To help your business, right? I don't know, man. I'm excited. I just don't want to live in fear, right? Because why live in fear?
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that one.
Yeah,
like fear is such a shitty emotion. It's like you got to find a way to like look at things differently, so you don't have that fear. And not even look at, like, feel differently about it, because that's emotional intelligence. A lot of people don't have that right now. I feel like that's in the shitter for most people. Like, their emotional intelligence is that literally of a child, you know. And because I don't know. Boys, I had more questions I wanted to center around self-improvement, but man, we just got lost in the weeds with some of these philosophical talks.
That's cool.
But that's the way podcasts go sometimes, right? You know,
we definitely got to run it back.
Oh yeah. No, I respect you too. You guys are smart kids. Not even kids. Because I'm 38, man. I'm just a little bit older than you guys. So you guys are smart young men. And obviously I want to surround myself with, like, you know, awesome people and stuff like that. And I already know, like, whatever happens, like, your futures are bright. Cause, like, I know a lot of people your age, and, like, they don't talk like you. They don't walk like you guys. They don't think like that. They're pretty,
appreciate that.
Pretty standard. And, you know, like, I show them respect, but you two, there was something different where I was like, you know what? Like, I feel like, this podcast is going to be healthy. You know, I'm going to
appreciate it, man.
But anyway, Telegentz podcast. Check them out on. I'll probably put up their TikTok and Instagram. You guys have Instagram?
We do, but just TikTok mainly right now.
Okay, we'll throw up on TikTok, and you guys can follow Ephraim and Mike from there. Okay, guys, everyone have a good night. Okay.
Appreciate it.